very much, Luke, for that warm introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today. I want to, first of all, thank everyone in attendance for coming out today. I've been very excited to have this conversation with someone other than myself. Actually, I've had this conversation with a number of people. This is something that's been near and dear to my heart for some time. This is really something very incredible that's been in the works for months. And I hope at the end of this conversation, you're able to take something really important away in terms of how you're able to leverage and use Atlassian tools in respect to security challenges. So thanks again, everyone, for being here. And we do actually have folks over at Domino's that have threatened me that if I don't perform well, it's going to be not good for me. So please, be kind. So listen, let's do this. And Armando's probably going to get mad at me, some of my handlers. We didn't practice this. So how many people are here? I had a conversation before we started here. How many people are here because they saw Domino's and they thought there was a potential they may get free pizza? Like, just be honest. Wow. My ego is so shaken right now. I'm talking to Katie, and she's like, I'm just going to be honest. I came because I saw Domino's, and, so I'm thinking pizza, okay. Nothing about security. It's cool. I'm glad you're here. I think this will be a really fun talk. Again, thank you for being here. My name is Mike Shepard. I'm an application security professional. I've been doing this work for some time. It's something I really enjoy. I care about software development. I love innovation. I love making things that make our lives better. And so with that, the aspect of, are we doing it in a secure manner? And so that's specifically my role at Domino's, is we have a great reliance on software development internally. And it's kind of interesting when you think about the fact that we're a pizza company. We are a pizza company that just happens to leverage technology in really incredible ways. And so I'm going to talk about some of that today. Most of you are very familiar with the Domino's logo. Most of you, I'm assuming, have had Domino's Pizza. Show of hands if you've had Domino's. Show of hands if it was a good experience. All right, not bad. Show of hands if you are heavily reliant on Pizza Tracker to know where your pizza's at. Me too. Where's my pizza? It says it's supposed to be at the door. So Pizza Tracker is remarkably kind of a symbol of who and what Domino's is we're number one in pizza delivery across the globe. And it's because, again, our approach to innovation internally. We have a tremendous reliance on internal software development. And so we have this really cool saying at Domino's that kind of really took to me. It's kind of this braggadocious thing where we say, oh, yes, I did. I did that. And people hate you for it. So, again, Domino's, I've talked about the fact that we are truly a technology company. When you come to our WRC, you come to our headquarters, you'd be really impressed at the size of our IS department and the amount of software development that's done internally at Domino's. I know I was really blown away. We've got over 14,000 stores globally in the world today. We're in over 85 internal markets. And this next figure fact is something that really astonishes me, is over $5.6 billion in global digital sales. And so what that says is that, we're not really the traditional mom and pop pizza company. You call up, you come pick your pizza up. We're using innovation and technology to sell pizza. And so for me, that's incredible. It's one of the things I love about working at Domino's. I got to share something really quickly with you. I'm coming over from, insurance companies, financial companies, and I get a call from Domino's, and they're serious. And I'm like, well, Domino's, you guys make pizza. Like, what do you need with a security person? So it turns out we do have a tremendous reliance on security. And I'll talk about specifically why. So I'm sure you all, right off the bat, you see Vanilla Ice there. he does the home stuff now, which I can't figure that out, how you can go from rapping to fixing homes and flipping homes and all of that, but he's an incredible guy. So why are we here today? Mike's cracking jokes, and he's walking back and forth, and he's talking about security. I'm here to talk about a really serious problem that we had at Domino's. And, having worked at a number of very large companies, I'm pretty sure this is a situation and a problem that most businesses face today in relationship to software development. And so my manager and my VP are going to kill me when I say this, because I don't think they've seen this slide. Our security review process sucked. Okay, and that's uncommon honesty. And my Domino's colleagues up here know that. That's one of our tenets, uncommon honesty. When our pizza sucked, we said it. We spent lots of money to get on the news, and our pizza really sucks. And we're going to change that. And we did change it. And we're soon to be the #1 pizza company in the world. I got the plug in. All right. I got the plug in. I'm going to see Patrick, our CEO, on Monday. He's going to be like, you did that. So with that, think about that. Our security review process sucked. So if hackers had known that, we'd be a great target, okay? Because if our security review process sucked, then probably most of what we deploy out into production sucks. It's insecure. And so it's Mike Shepard's job to change that, okay? The fact that our security review process sucked, it caused a situation where our development teams didn't want to deal with us. And I'm going to walk you through kind of this scenario in just a minute of what the process looked like. But because our security review process sucked, development teams didn't want to engage us. And so if you think about that, if you're building software that potentially millions of folks are going to interact with, and it's built without the input of security, there could potentially be vulnerabilities and risks to the organization, okay? And so we had to change that. You guys are going to be at home later. I can't get that Vanilla Ice picture out of my head. So one of the things I want to talk about is really a quote that was introduced to me. I've still not read the book, I'm going to be honest. Uncommon honesty. I will read the book. This is a quote that was revealed to me, and it really hit the emphasis to me on what our security review process looked like and why people didn't want to engage us. And so this is a quote from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it goes like this. And remember now, picture yourself at Domino's, you're a development team, and you need security, but this is what you're going to deal with. They wouldn't even lift a finger to save their own grandmothers from the ravenous bug blotter beast of trial without orders signed in triplicate, sent in, sent back, queried, lost, found, subjugated to public inquiry, lost again, and finally buried in soft peat for 3 months and recycled as firelighters. I'm not going to do that. And I'm a security person. I'm going to say, you know what? Yeah, we'll talk to them later. Okay, so because of this process that was really inefficient, it wasn't friendly to development, it was obfuscated a lot of times. And therefore, we had tremendous risk posed to the organization. And again, it's Mike Shepard's job, along with many others, to change that. And so just to reiterate and kind of summarize our security process, previous is the key point. It was broken, very manual, ad hoc. You kind of needed to know who to talk to if you wanted to deal with security. There were tons of meetings. How many people in here hate meetings? Just be honest. Thank you so much. I thought I was the only one. I'm like, are you serious? So especially with regards to security engagement, there's so security engagement kind of looked like this. There's some stranger internally that walks up to you and says, hey, are you Mike Shepard? And it's like, yeah, who are you? And it's like, yeah, my name is Dave, and I'm working on a development project, and I think we need you guys. But if you say we don't, we don't. And so I'm like, okay, let me think about this. And so then we decide to meet, I've got to look at his calendar, he's got to look at mine, and we may have to have this person, and we meet, and then we talk, and we just do introductions, and we meet again. Months later, you get something back from me saying, hey, these are the things we think you should do from a security standpoint. Just doesn't work, because development has already deployed to production, right? Now, be truthful, because this is a development forum. I'm a security person. I'm on enemy ground, technically. I tell people this all the time. I'm not an information security professional. That's my disclaimer, because I sit around the development organization. I'm an application security professional, and our job is to support and assist you, okay? There's a difference. I don't say no. I just help you get to a place where we don't have to talk about no. You get me? I think that's key. That's funny, because it's true. Lastly, there was no alignment. And most of the organizations I've worked at, that's a huge problem. If my job is to make sure what you're building is secure, and I can't align with the way you build software, that's a problem. It causes gaps. It causes you to not want to work with me. It causes us to be insecure. So we have to change that. And lastly, no visibility. I don't know who to talk to, so I'm not going to talk to anybody. So that was what it looked like. In a minute, I'm going to show you what we did to change that narrative. We did something incredible in my mind. I can pull my phone out right now and in just seconds understand our security posture as it relates to software development internally. Who would love that capability? I'll tell you where you can go to change and have that capability when we finish. It's amazing, especially from a security perspective. And let me say this. People say bad things about developers. I don't. I've heard some really bad things. They're lazy. They don't care. That's not true. They care. Oftentimes, they just don't have the tools and the support in terms in reference to security to do security things. They're overtaxed, overburdened, under tight timelines. So I get it. You know, you have to sit in the shoes of a developer in a development organization to understand what they deal with on a daily basis. So I love developers. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have the society that we have today. So hand an applause for all the development folks out there today. That was for Kutso. He leads our e-com development organization. I want to do this too really quickly. I just want to give a shout out to my sister. She's watching. She's a psychologist with lupus, and she's so excited about this talk. So I want to say, hey, Lisa, and to my family and all those folks. I had to do that. I'm sorry, guys. So what we've done in terms of a solution is, the solution has allowed us to now integrate security into our development process. It's allowed us to streamline it, to automate it, and to monitor it, which is the cool thing for me as a security person. I know now. I know what we look like in terms of secure software development. And so how did we do that? Well, we're at Atlassian, and we use some Atlassian tools, and we partnered with a great company, and we had Mike Shepard in the mix. All right, and that's a true story. So we, through integration with Confluence and Jira, we were able to do something incredible. And so in doing this something incredible, we were essentially unsucking our security process, our review process. I hate to say it that way because it sounds so bad, but it's uncommon honesty. And it's true across corporate America, trust me. So it's important that we be honest about this so we can change it. And so what we did is right off the bat, we said, you know what? We have to build something that aligns with the development organization. It bolts on top of their process. We don't create a new process for them. It doesn't work. It doesn't scale. They don't like it. And so most of our development activities early on at Domino's happens on Confluence, as I'm sure is common across corporate America and throughout the world. You've got requirements that are happening on Confluence. You've got collaboration. You've got workflows. You've got a bunch of development activities. And so the developers are working from Confluence. Let's build in a touch point, an engagement doorway on Confluence. Makes sense, right? It's not rocket science. I say that all the time. My wife's like, you always say that. It's not rocket science. It's not, it might be difficult, but it's not rocket science. So we built our engagement. We decided to build our engagement doorway on Confluence. Check one, win, I think. Next, we had to, essentially in my mind, create some way to take in data, some way to interact with the user, some way to pose and ask very sensitive, important questions so we could ascertain the risk to what you were doing. And so what we're able to do is using a tool provided by Adaptivist called Forms for Confluence. It's an amazing tool. Plug for Adaptivist, it's true. Helped us out mightily. We used Adaptivist Forms for Confluence. We were able to create a form, a risk questionnaire form on Confluence. You guys will see it in just a minute. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that product. I'm thankful for the marketplace. I'm thankful for what Atlassian has done to take their tools, their products, and allow others to enhance, to solve problems, I think is the bottom line. And so when we're able to build now this form on Confluence, that now our development organization could engage with security. It's really important that we understand that. We're changing the process in which we were engaging the development organization to reduce and mitigate risk. And so what next? Mike, you built a form, and what happened? So the form in itself is not what addressed the problem. Now we went into, what do I need to know about what you're building to capture the risk? And so what we're able to do is, using some threat modeling activities, risk assessment, and just kind of old school information security methodologies, we came up with really 8 critical questions we needed to ask right off the bat in a simplistic way to ascertain the risk associated with the software project you're working on. And so we did that, and I'll show you those questions in just a minute. Next, and very importantly, we had to partner. I've not always been the type of guy that likes to partner. I like to be the guy to go for 60 points and 25 rebounds and, assists, and I did that. Oh, yes, I did. But in this case, you grow up and you understand you have to partner with people to solve problems. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned about Atlassian and all the partners is it's all about us coming together to solve major problems, and they do it well. But we were able to identify and partner with 4850 Labs, an incredible organization in my mind, like family, and I mean that. And what we were able to do with them, and I have to make this point, we had talked to 4 or 5 organizations. We told them what our problem was. We said, hey, this is what we'd like to do, and I'm not going to lie to you. We had 4 or 5 organizations say that's not possible. You can't do it. That's what we were told. And we were like, we just don't get it. We've got Confluence, we've got Jira. It's got to be possible. It's the American way. And so we sat down with 4850 Labs, and we were able to, with them, develop our custom form risk logic application on Jira. I'll show it to you in just a minute. It's incredible. And so that was through the partnership with 4850 Labs. Next, and I'm almost done, and we'll show you the form, is we had to then determine, okay, based off of these questions we're going to ask you on the form as it relates to security, what do we want the response to be in the form of tickets? Okay? What do you need to do now that we understand what you're doing? And from a risk perspective, say, these are the things you need to do to mitigate this risk. Okay? As security requirements tickets. Created in Jira and assigned out to service providers that could then go and mitigate this risk. It's incredible when you see this. And so lastly, as a business outcome, we didn't just want to take in data, create tickets, assign them to folks, and be on our way. We wanted to be able to have a metrics dashboard that showed us kind of key indicators. Hey, your project had, 200 tickets, only 2 were closed. You've got 198 that are outstanding. Why? On our dashboard, you show red. This service you built is red. It's risky. Okay? It's got a lot of risk. It's obvious. Red means no, stop, it's bad. And so through integration or through a usage of a product with Splunk, their ITSM module, we're able to integrate with Jira, pull all these security requirements, that data, and display in an incredible way metrics that spoke to the security posture of our development organization. Excellent. So we've got now this automated security requirements workflow that allows development at any time to engage security. Transformed security at Domino's. So who wants to see the form? Who wants to see this thing? I do. I love to see it. I go in sometimes and just, put some information in there, create tickets. And actually, I get yelled at. She manages our Atlassian stack, yells at me all the time. Did you create those tickets in that project? So I've created my own project where I can go do my thing. This is a real story. So this is what the form looks like on Confluence. It's incredible. If you think about it, the power of what we've done is not to create a form. It's not really to partner. It's not to create tickets. We transformed the way in which we engage the development organization so that we can now have value, so that we can consistently say every single development project at Domino's engages security. It's revolutionary. So I'm really proud to say that. So this is the form on Confluence. You go to it. It pre-populates with your Active Directory username. You provide the application or service name. You provide the Jira project key that this project is associated with. And now you kind of go into what does Mike care about? What do we care about from a security perspective? Is it web-facing? Obviously, is important. Does it handle sensitive data? Does it use sensitive or the following HTTP methods? Does this service connect to a database? Does this service make calls to other services? Does it make calls down to stores in our instance? And this is just specific to Domino's. I mean, your form can, be configured in a way to be specific to what you care about from a security perspective. Does this service send data out to third parties? Is this service under any regulatory requirements? PCI, GLBA, HIPAA. There's an opportunity in here to provide links on Confluence to provide additional details related to the development project you have in Confluence. Lastly, any special notes? Hey, we know this thing is really insecure. Just FYI. I've actually had developers say that. It's funny. I do it every day. Yeah, Mike. I can always tell when they know something. Because the body language, they fidget a lot. And I'm like, I'm not the police, man. Just talk to me. Calm down. You need some water? So, okay, let's talk. Just relax. Mike, you're not like the other security guys. No, I'm not. It's funny. I got a bunch of stories. I'm sorry. So I got a 3.5-year-old, and it's been a crazy week with her, and she's been sleeping weird hours in the plane ride. I'm sleeping on the plane. I'm so tired. We left Michigan at 4:30 in the morning. She's like, Daddy, why are you asleep? Daddy, wake up. Daddy, up. Just like, oh, my God. Anyways, I'm venting. The last piece is to explain the business logic. And really think about this. This form typically is filled out in some 2 to 3 minutes. Just really think about that. You engage security at Domino's today in 2 to 3 minutes. What took weeks takes minutes now. This initial assessment of what you're doing. And so again, oh yes, we did. That's why we say it. We do incredible things at Domino's. And so now really the power of what we've done in terms of this risk decisioning. That data in that form is sent over to Jira, and this custom risk decisioning form handler says, it's essentially really me. We've essentially created a mic that sits at Jira. I capture this incoming data. I make sense of it. And really, there are 2 ways in which security requirements tickets are generated. There's a security requirement ticket that's connected directly to a specific question. Hey, is it public facing? Yes. Okay, you're going to need a web app pen test. Create that ticket, assign it out. There is also a specific score allocated to each question. Which question do we care about more from a risk perspective? And so we take a total of all of these questions, that total score, and if you look at the right-hand print screen, bottom right-hand side of this picture, this view, your service or your development project will fall in one of those 4 risk ranges. If it's a critical risk range, today at Domino's, you have the potential for some 8 security requirements tickets to be created and assigned to your development team in your project. And again, if you think about that, this happens instantaneously. You fill the form out 2 to 3 minutes. Typically, another 2-3 minutes, you actually get these tickets back. So you engage security in this 5 to 6 minute threshold of time. That's huge. You don't have to talk to anybody. We're going to build something. Let's do it. Let's talk to security. Fill the form out. Okay, they say we got to do these 8 things. I hate security. They always want to tell us what to do. We had in this instance, I was in the developer's shoes literally for the first time because we built something that we had to deploy in a production. And guess what? Developers can say no too. You're not going to break my production, Holly. You're not breaking Jira, Mike. You better do that in QA. I love Holly. She did. She knows she did. You're not breaking, you're not going to do that. But we did it. Oh, yes, we did. So you're able to assess the risk. You're able to take in this data, supply it into the form, make sense of it, and then respond back and say, you guys need to do these things in an automated fashion from a security perspective. Does that sound cool? Or is it just me? Am I weird? I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I think it's really cool. This is what the tickets look like today. So you filled the form out. You sit there and twiddle your fingers for 2-3 minutes. Your inbox gets hit with these tickets. If you're a project manager, if you're one of the service providers, I get all the tickets. And so you're able to say, okay, this is what you need to do now from a security perspective. This is an application pen test ticket for our pen test team. And what I like about the ticket is it's essentially the conversation with Mike Shepard. Hey, TDM, it's your responsibility to do this. Hey, TDM, this requirement is met when you do this or this. Hey, TDM, you can close this ticket when Ron Uncle signs off on it that this requirement has been met. Hey, TDM, guess what? Security has an SLA, right? You can hold security accountable for the first time ever at Domino's. We have 72 business hours to respond back to you. In terms of, if you get a ticket for an application security pen test, we've got to respond back in 72 business hours or we're in trouble. I know you guys like that. They didn't respond back to me. We've had developers and development leaders say, yeah, they didn't respond back in 72 hours. That's a metric at Domino's now. Well, what's going on, security? You always want to say no, but guess what? You're in trouble. I told them, I sat down with the InfoSec team. I said, you guys, you're not used to this. They were mad. They were cussing at me and all this stuff. And, man, Mike, you in this damn form, excuse my language, arguing, and you look at what you're doing to us. But that's the whole point of this thing, is we need to be held accountable too. If we want you to partner with us, if we're telling we're not going to impede your innovation, we need to be held accountable. And so we need to have an SLA that you can hold us accountable to. Lastly, it gives you steps and guidance around what the pen test is. But essentially, again, it's me, Mike Shepard, talking to you about a pen test and all the different dynamics and details associated with it. So what does all this mean? And it does mean something. It means that the conversation has changed internally at Domino's when it comes to security. I walk proudly through Domino's now. I kind of walk with a strut, a little bit. Sometimes it's a limp. But it is a limp sometimes. What we've done now through really having this problem, coming up with what we thought would be a good way to approach and resolve this problem, partnering with 4850 Labs, at the end of the day, from what we've done, we can now say that we've standardized our process internally, which is amazing. Because security typically is known for not having a standardized process. Well, what is you guys' process? People love to ask me that. We've made it easier to engage security, which is incredible, because people hate engaging security. So we need to make it easy and simplistic. And we've made it fast, which is the direct opposite of what we're known to do. We are known to impede progress, not at Domino's. Things happen fast. And so we've now created something that allows us to respond to you in an agile way. I love that. And so now what? So now that we've streamlined and automated the security review process at Domino's, what does that mean? Do we sit by the fire and kumbaya? I thought so. But we still got one last thing to do. We've got to now monitor it and really understand, what does this thing look like? When you start with something that was not previously there, you're going to have this transition of we look really insecure to, okay, what do we need to do to get to a better place? And so this is what our KPI metrics dashboard looks like in Splunk using the ITSM module. And so what we're able to do is we're able to pull all that data from Jira and to present in a meaningful way some metrics around the security health posture of our development organization, which is incredible. What this allows our leadership to do is say, hey, man, why is that red? I'm almost done, is my first point I want to make here. My father's a pastor. He'd always say that. It's like, man, are you done yet? Dude, it's like an hour. I'm going to sleep. Our leadership is intended now to be able to understand fully where we're at in terms of our security posture and now make the decisions they need to make to change this. They're empowered to do it. And so a good case in point here is we've had a development leader at Domino's. He said, Mike, I've got this app pen test ticket. And he said, I'm going to be honest with you. We're not going to be able to meet that requirement. I said, that's fair. That's fine. Why not? We don't have funding. First of all, we didn't have to do this before you created this darn form, first of all. Secondly, now that you've got this darn form out here, we all got to use it so we have visibility around the security posture of our development organization. And so I just didn't anticipate it. That's fine. That's what we want to capture. Next year, we can plan to have funds for pen testing. That's the whole point of this. You have to have the data tell you either good or bad, and then be able to respond to it. And so by doing what we've done, we're now in a position to do that, is to make intelligent decisioning around resources and money internally at Domino's as it relates to security. That is so cool. I love to say this. We now have value as security people at Domino's. I love it. Because before we were like, you need us or you're going to get hacked. No, you need us to show you what your health posture looks like from a security perspective. And then be able to now make decisioning around changing that. And so again, I go back to how do we get it done? It was through partnerships with 4850 Labs, Atlassian, and Splunk. And so in my mind, my takeaway is this in terms of, what I learned in picking and determining and identifying the right partner. For me, it was one that listens. I got so frustrated with some of the organizations we talked to. I'm like, are they not listening? When you listen to people, you understand. You have empathy. You can put yourself in their shoes, and you can understand what they're asking you to do, what their problem is. How many people are tired of vendors calling and, hey, I just want to talk to you for a minute, and it never is a minute, and you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to give you a shot. My problem is my toe hurts, and I need you to provide a solution. And they're like, well, we have something for your eyes. And you're like, what? Okay, he didn't hear me. I said my toe hurts. Well, we've got some great contacts for your eyes. Dude, are you serious? I just had that with a company. I'm not going to name them, but I'm like, this is crazy. So you have to have a partner that listens. And 4850 Labs was amazing. One of the things they did is I told them what we wanted to do, what our problem was, and they said, this is what we believe your problem is based off of what you stated. Yes. And Shane, I'll never forget, he said, unless I'm missing something, I think we can do this. I think it's doable. I'm like, yeah. Okay, we'll find out. Second piece is, in my mind, you have to be a little bit of a mad scientist. We're going on our uncharted waters. We don't know, but at least have the belief that we're willing to find out. Okay? Great things have been done because people weren't afraid to think outside of the box. And I'd probably say in this case, everyone in here, for the companies you work for Atlassian, These organizations exist because of the way people think, thinking outside of the box. So now, bottom line to this story and what we've talked about is the metrics, the takeaway, the business outcome. What's the value here? We've realized a savings of some 1,200 plus hours a year as it relates to the time of folks involved in the security and the software development of stuff at Domino's. 1,200 plus hours. That's a lot of time to do other things. That's vacation time. I want my 1,200 hours today. We've been able to realize a monetary savings. The business loves that. They're like, what we did is going to save you $100,000 a year. Security did that? You guys are a cost center. So through implementation and usage of this solution to solve a major problem at Domino's, we actually realize a monetary savings because we're not wasting time doing inefficient things while reducing risk. I love that. That's value. They told me at Domino's, they said, man, you've got some real job security now. Like, yeah, it's crazy. And ultimately, we've been able to, of a matter of fact, be able to say, we've reduced down risk significantly. And people say, well, what do you mean by that? That number's kind of big. Well, think about it. If 2 out of 10 projects are engaged by security and the other 8 aren't, you're extremely insecure, probably. Look at Equifax. I shouldn't have said that. I hope to God I don't get sued. But because now we've built something that aligns with development, it has visibility, it's streamlined, it's automated, we now are able to ensure that all of our development is engaged in security, ultimately reducing down risk greatly to the organization. Last thing Mike's going to say, and I'm going to shut up because I talk too much sometimes, and that's true, is to always look to automate when you can, always. To look to empower team members, to pick good partners. I made this statement yesterday, and I probably shouldn't say it, but that probably even applies to marriage. I'm sorry. It's true. To monitor and to be able to show what you've done and the value that's derived from that in metrics. And lastly, my security people around the world are going to love me for this. Security is not Mike's job. It's everybody's job. So with that being said, 4850 Labs is going to come talk really quickly about the next generation of the form mail handler they built for us. And with that, you have Armando Wershing to talk about that.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
So I want to get to the question and answers. But first of all, Mike, thank you for such an enthusiastic and entertaining security discussion. I can honestly say I've never been in one like that. But as Mike said, we saw a unique use case or a not unique use case. His use case was unique around the security implementation of this. But what we saw was having to take a person who was that hero in the company for this particular space that knew how to get things done. And how do you get that person to be leveraged by an entire organization, because we don't clone people yet, right? So the whole point was to take this use case and turn it into something that would allow a company to take and clone the decisioning process, the logic that you go through in creating or deciding what to do with information. So Smart Handler for Mail is the product that is now available on the marketplace. And what it does is there to take the ingest an email, allow you to create a set of rules and logics and decisioning to go through whether data on that email or things you look up in a lookup table, and then allow you to then define how to action on that email, how to take action and do things with all the information that you're capturing through these questionnaires, through these templates. And that's really it.